A furious, unseen crowd roars for his end amidst a storm of crackling energy. The young man finds himself bound and bruised, utterly confused about his strange surroundings. An orc-like chieftain raises his sword, condemning the human for trespassing on their sacred land for the first time in a millennium. He learns he's being sentenced to a heavenly punishment for supposedly breaking a sacred pact. The grim reality of his impending doom washes over him, sweat pouring down his face in sheer terror. His mind spirals, questioning if he's about to die senselessly in this bizarre, unfamiliar world. The scene flashes back 5 hours, showing him walking toward a food truck for a late-night meal. His partner warns him to hurry, as they have rival cleaner crews to compete with on their next job. While eating, the protagonist expresses surprise that a simple C-class cave has attracted so much attention. His colleague laments that even scavenging is a tough gig when you're not one of the world's chosen heroes. His partner announces the heroes are out, urging him to finish his meal and prepare for the job. The crew approaches the cave, with his colleague admitting that even a low-level C-class cave is intimidating. He shudders at the thought of what a higher-ranked A or S-class cave must be like. The cleaners watch as two figures emerge from the brilliantly glowing cave entrance. A pair of lavishly armored heroes exit, casually discussing their easy victory and the subsequent reward. The cleaners look on with envy as the heroes pass, lamenting their own powerless and unglamorous lives. The crew's leader humbly asks for permission to enter, receiving a curt, dismissive nod from the female hero. The protagonist internally distances himself from the heroes, acknowledging they exist in a completely different world. He explains their job as cleaners is to scavenge the valuable remains left behind after the heroes' battles. Stepping into the cave, he reflects on his own failure to become a hero, a dream he still secretly holds on to. The crew leader briefs the team, giving them 4 hours to scavenge the C-class ruins before the cave closes. While digging through the debris, the protagonist's colleague suddenly strikes something solid. He unearths a valuable glowing fragment from a warrior's shield, a fantastic early find. The protagonist congratulates his partner on the lucky score, joking that fortune is smiling on him. Feeling optimistic, he tells his colleague he's venturing deeper into the cave to search for his own prize. He pushes onward, convinced that a good start means even greater treasures lie hidden further inside. But his hope dwindles as he digs for hours, finding absolutely nothing more than dust and rock. A shout from his partner snaps him back to reality. Their time is almost up and they need to leave. Desperation sinks in as he realizes this pitiful haul won't even cover his sister's daily medical bills. Just as he's about to give up, his eyes catch a strange, glowing structure buried beneath the rubble. He uncovers a deep, dark well, his mind instantly racing with the possibility of treasure. Peering into the abyss, he dreams of a single score that could pay his sister's hospital fees. His eyes lock onto a skeletal hand at the bottom, adorned with a single gleaming ring. Throwing caution to the wind, he rappels down, certain the heroes missed this incredible find. At the bottom, he carefully plucks the ornate, glowing ring from the skeletal finger. He erupts in pure joy, realizing a rare ring like this is worth an absolute fortune. Without a second thought, he slips the ring on his finger, eager to rejoin his crew with the prize. The moment it's on, the ring erupts in a blinding, unexpected flash of light. A sharp, searing pain shoots through his hand as the artifact glows menacingly. A system window appears, announcing the ring has bonded to him and is opening a mysterious passage. He hears a strange noise from above and calls out, startled by the sudden sound. He looks down in shock as the ring on his finger explodes with a swirling golden energy. The brilliant light transforms into a powerful vortex, beginning to pull him in against his will. He desperately calls out for his uncle as he vanishes from the bottom of the well. His colleague hears a faint cry and turns around, only to find the protagonist has completely disappeared. The crew leader, unconcerned, decides to wait a little longer, assuming the young man is just pushing himself too hard. Meanwhile, the protagonist is violently dragged through a chaotic tunnel of light, completely out of control. His world spins into darkness, and when his senses finally return, his situation has drastically changed. He finds himself bound on an altar, surrounded by hulking beasts preparing him for a ritualistic punishment. The narrative reveals that this so-called heavenly punishment is a terrifying storm of lightning summoned upon the altar. He realizes with dawning horror that the well transported him to the sacred land of a hostile beast tribe. From a spiked throne, the imposing beast king gives the cold command to begin the ritual. A chieftain announces the execution of 3 criminals, starting with a traitor from their own ranks. The condemned beastman cries out in despair as his own people scream for his demise. At the crowd's demand for heavenly punishment, guards drag the traitor towards the glowing altar. The prisoner is shoved forward, his fate sealed as he's forced to face the punishment. He's thrown onto the sacrificial platform, a place from which no sinner has escaped in 1,000 years. A colossal bolt of divine lightning descends from the sky, striking the altar with immense force. The blinding flash of the execution momentarily whites out the entire scene. The chieftain then turns his attention to the protagonist, declaring him the next to be punished for trespassing. He desperately tries to explain it's all a mistake, pleading for his life and a way back to his sister. The hulking beast guard silences his pleas with a powerful, dismissive grip. Panic consumes him as the grim reality of his situation sinks in, sweat and tears mixing on his face. Thrown violently to the ground, his thoughts flash to his sister and his shattered dream of becoming a hero. The enraged crowd of beasts chants for his demise, demanding the heavens deliver their punishment. Without ceremony, the guards haul him onto the sacrificial altar to face his execution. His eyes well up with tears, but a spark of defiance ignites within his desperate gaze. Refusing to surrender, he pushes against the stone platform with all his remaining strength. A colossal bolt of heavenly lightning smashes down, enveloping him in a blinding, destructive energy. The beasts peer down at the smoking altar, wondering if the human trespasser survived the initial blast. A young beast woman in the crowd watches the execution with a look of stunned disbelief. The Beast King and his chieftain are utterly shocked, as no one has ever withstood the heavenly punishment before. Amidst the smoke, the protagonist's eyes glow with a fierce red light, his hair now a shocking white. He rises to his feet, fueled by pure rage and a desperate will to survive. A second, more powerful bolt of lightning crashes down, striking him with even greater force. The chieftain roars with laughter, mocking the human's foolish hope and demanding the punishment continue. The bloodthirsty crowd joins the chant, eager to see the trespasser utterly destroyed. Engulfed in raw energy, the protagonist refuses to fall, his resolve hardening against the onslaught. Suddenly, the ring on his finger shines with a divine light, activating a mysterious God's choice system. The system immediately begins to reconstruct his body, healing his wounds and forging him anew. His crimson eyes narrow, sensing a profound change within the chaotic energy around him. The relentless barrage of lightning seems to pause, swirling around his unyielding form. The chieftain stares in utter disbelief, unable to comprehend how the human is still standing. A fresh bolt slams into him, but instead of destroying him, the energy is absorbed into his body. The system reveals its true purpose, using the lightning to forge him into the ultimate being, now 15% complete. The once jeering crowd recoils in terror, their bloodlust turning into primal fear. He takes a deliberate step forward, his body cracking and reforming under the immense pressure. His body's reconstruction hits 40%, and the system begins granting him a new skill: Heavenly Eye. In the depths of his mind, he hears a mysterious voice calling out to him from within the storm. Compelled by an unknown force, he takes another step, walking directly into the heart of the lightning. He strides deeper into the storm, drawn by the mysterious voice and a newfound purpose. His gaze locks onto a legendary golden hammer at the heart of the altar, the source of the divine lightning. His body erupts with power, shedding its mortal shell as he is reborn in the tempest. The system announces his body's reconstruction is now 60% complete, granting him 2 new formidable skills. The beast guards are paralyzed with fear, witnessing an event that defies all logic. He continues his relentless advance, his old self literally peeling away to reveal the new being beneath. A system notification flashes, confirming his body's forging has reached an incredible 80%. The Beast King is shaken, realizing this human is approaching a sacred weapon untouched for 10,000 years. The young beast woman watches with wide-eyed awe, understanding his impossible goal, to wield the God King's hammer. He embraces the storm's full power, as if responding to a personal invitation from the divine weapon itself. With sheer determination, he begins to lift the legendary hammer from its ancient pedestal. The hammer's spirit awakens, questioning why this mortal dares to summon it after millennia of slumber. The system announces his body's forging is 100% complete, bestowing upon him the title of the Chosen One. A final, cataclysmic burst of energy erupts from the altar as the weapon is finally dislodged. He roars with raw power, enduring the final surge of divine energy as he claims his prize. The beast guards can only stare, their minds unable to process the impossible sight before them. The God King's hammer acknowledges his call, its immense power beginning to condense and yield to him. As the lightning recedes, the hammer shrinks, reforming into a size he can wield. His hand closes firmly around the hilt, the divine weapon finally accepting its new master. He raises the God King's hammer high, its power now his to command, ready to unleash it upon his enemies. The system confirms he's acquired the God King's hammer, but its true power remains sealed until he grows stronger. The young beast woman is in utter shock, unable to believe a human actually lifted their sacred weapon. The chieftain seethes with rage, refusing to accept that a human has claimed their divine hammer. He recalls a prophecy stating that whoever lifts the hammer is destined to become the beast tribe's future leader. The protagonist examines his newly forged, powerful body while checking his updated status on a system screen. He notices the system has rewarded him with enough experience to jump straight to level 3. As he ponders the God's Choice system, the enraged chieftain leaps down from the stands to confront him. Unfazed, he stands defiantly in the center of the shattered altar, hammer in hand. The furious chieftain charges forward, demanding the protagonist surrender the tribe's sacred weapon. The beast tribe's elite Tusk army rallies behind their leader, ready to reclaim their honor and the hammer by force. The chieftain dismisses the protagonist's feat as a cheap trick, accusing him of cheating the heavenly punishment. With glowing eyes, he offers a sliver of mercy, advising the human to return the sacred weapon. His patience wears thin as he demands the protagonist surrender and accept the tribe's judgment. Suddenly, a system notification pops up, explaining the Heavenly Eye passive skill he just acquired. The protagonist is taken aback, realizing the full potential of this new passive ability. He focuses his gaze, and his Heavenly Eye instantly reveals the chieftain's name, title, and formidable level 84 stats. He quickly understands this system-granted power gives him a crucial edge by exposing his enemy's information. Unimpressed, the chieftain grabs him by the throat, questioning if this pathetic human truly dares to challenge him. As the protagonist struggles, the chieftain promises to end his defiance swiftly and permanently. With a massive blade inches from his face, the protagonist desperately tries to signal that this is all a huge misunderstanding. He panics, realizing he's no hero and is hopelessly outmatched against a level 84 warrior. Ignoring his desperate pleas for a truce, the chieftain brings his massive axe down with killing intent. The young beast woman watches in despair, certain the human will be torn apart by one of the Beast King's top generals. The chieftain's attack lands with explosive force, shattering the ground around the altar. In a desperate move, he raises the divine hammer, meeting the chieftain's devastating strike head-on. He grits his teeth, straining every muscle to withstand the overwhelming pressure of the attack. To everyone's astonishment, he successfully blocks the blow, though the shockwave leaves his arms numb. The chieftain stares in disbelief, shocked that the human not only blocked the strike but also survived the impact. Unimpressed, the chieftain promises the next attack will be fatal, as the protagonist continues to insist it's all a mistake. He frantically tries to explain his situation, revealing that he's not even from this world. The chieftain roars, his patience completely gone, seeing no need for further explanation. He effortlessly grabs the protagonist, lifting him high into the air with one powerful arm. The chieftain prepares to unleash a devastating throwing technique to end the human's life. A system window suddenly appears detailing a new active skill, Absolute Replicate. He's stunned to learn he can copy an opponent's skill just by touching them. As he's being thrown, he twists his body, realizing he must touch the chieftain's core. With a look of grim determination, he understands exactly what he needs to do. He successfully places his hand directly on the chieftain's chest, aiming for his heart. In a bizarre twist, the chieftain freezes as if struck by Cupid's arrow, surrounded by a shower of rose petals. The protagonist is violently thrown backward, as multiple system notifications pop up around him. As he's sent flying, the system offers him a choice of the chieftain's powerful skills to copy. Meanwhile, the chieftain roars in fury, incensed that the human dared to touch him. He quickly selects the chieftain's ultimate skill, noting it can be enhanced by his divine hammer. The system confirms a perfect replication as he channels the newly acquired skill, determined to survive. The enraged chieftain unleashes his ultimate attack, smashing his weapon into the ground with cataclysmic force. His rage turns to utter disbelief as he sees the human mirroring his signature move perfectly. The ground erupts as two identical devastating techniques are unleashed simultaneously. The beast woman and the Tusk army can only stare in stunned silence, unable to comprehend the unfolding events. The resulting explosion sends the chieftain flying backward, overwhelmed by the mirrored power. He lands hard, but instead of being injured, the chieftain looks dazed, remarking that the attack felt strangely pleasant. A system notification reveals a critical flaw. His low level prevents him from dealing any actual damage. He and the chieftain are left utterly bewildered by the bizarre outcome of their clash. The dazed chieftain recovers, slowly reaching for his weapon to continue the fight. Enraged and humiliated, the chieftain lunges forward, determined to punish the human for making a fool of him. Just as the chieftain attacks, a commanding voice roars from above, ordering them to stop. The crowd erupts as they realize their ultimate leader, the Beast King, has finally decided to intervene. A devastating blow from the sky slams into the ground, separating the two combatants with immense force. The protagonist struggles to stay on his feet, caught in the overwhelming power of the newcomer's arrival. As the dust settles, the colossal shadow of a new, even more powerful figure looms over the arena. The legendary Beast King reveals himself, his fearsome gaze fixed on the unfolding chaos. Humbled by the Beast King's power, the mighty chieftain is forced to his knees in submission. The entire tribe, including the young beast woman, watches in stunned silence, unable to believe their general has been brought so low. The Beast King acknowledges the protagonist as the true chosen one of the divine hammer and commands him to stand. He gently lifts the human's chin, musing that this unexpected outcome must be the will of the heavens. With a confident smile, the Beast King reveals that for the first time in centuries, the sacred weapon has finally accepted a wielder. He announces to all his tribesmen that the human has proven his worth by lifting the hammer, earning its divine approval. The Tusk army stares blankly, their minds struggling to comprehend this unbelievable turn of events. The king boldly declares that if this human can guide their people to a brighter future, they will follow him without question. The soldiers begin to whisper, recalling the prophecy of the hammer's chosen one, but conflicted by the fact that he's not one of them. The chieftain rises, challenging the Beast King's judgment and arguing against accepting a human as their leader. The Beast King coolly dismisses the chieftain's concern about the human's race. He challenges his general, asking if the prophecy ever forbade an outsider when no beast man could lift the hammer. The flustered chieftain concedes the point but still worries, only to be silenced by the king's firm hand. Turning his intense gaze to the protagonist, the Beast King formally asks for his name. The human nervously introduces himself, and the king offers a grand bargain: accept the tribe's destiny for freedom. The king places a hand on his chest, igniting a purple flame and setting a condition: return in 1 year, ready for a test of leadership. He then touches the protagonist's forehead, imprinting a glowing purple sigil as a failsafe. The king warns that if he fails to return, the mark will guide the entire tribe to hunt him down relentlessly. Faced with the intense stares of the entire army, the protagonist is paralyzed by the monumental choice before him. The young beast woman watches with desperate hope, silently pleading for him to accept the path to freedom and power. He remembers the beast woman was also slated for punishment and decides to use a skill to learn more. A system window reveals she is a surprisingly powerful level 72 warrior, despite her current predicament. He's stunned by her high level, wondering why such a formidable fighter would face the same fate as him. His confusion melts away, replaced by a confident smile as he finalizes his decision. He turns to the leaders with a grateful gesture, acknowledging this entire ordeal as a miraculous opportunity. With renewed resolve, he focuses on his primary goal: survive now and find a way back to his own world. He formally accepts the king's terms to return in a year, but boldly adds that he has one request. The Beast King looks intrigued by this unexpected development, calmly inviting him to state his condition. He points directly at the young beast woman, declaring his intention to take her with him on his journey. The beast woman is left utterly speechless, pointing to herself in stunned disbelief at his demand. He coolly explains his demand is merely a thank you for her earlier advice. He reflects on how this entire absurd journey began, tracing it back to a single, mysterious ring. He recalls the disembodied voice that first described the ring's unbelievable properties to him. The ring is now permanently fused to him, granting strange powers, but his true focus remains on finding a way back home. Snapped from his thoughts, he's taken aback as the beast woman suddenly addresses him as her new master. Pledging her complete devotion, she declares that her life is now his to command since he saved her from certain doom. He barely contains his inner glee, completely flustered by her stunning appearance and her calling him master. Flustered, he quickly tries to regain his composure, awkwardly dismissing her pledge of loyalty and the master title. She insists with deep sincerity that he doesn't understand the gravity of the situation. revealing he gave her a second chance to live. Gently taking his hand, she reveals that in her entire life, he is the only one who has ever defended her or shown her kindness. She humbly requests permission to call him her master, seeing it as the only proper way to address him. She declares his arrival was a miracle, pledging her entire being to him with fervent devotion. Overwhelmed by her intense loyalty, he awkwardly agrees to her terms, much to her delight. Noting the late hour, she turns to lead the way, urging her new master to follow. As they depart, she lights their path with a glowing orb and cautions him to be careful. He takes a moment to breathe, looking up at the strange, beautiful sky of this other world. Walking through the serene landscape, he momentarily finds himself captivated by its gentle beauty. His peaceful thoughts are shattered by the urgent memory of his sister waiting for his return. A system notification suddenly appears, informing him the boundaryless passage is now available. He realizes this is the very power that brought him here, sparking hope that he can finally return home. He stares at the glowing ring, contemplating how to activate the passage back home. Overjoyed, he realizes the path to his world has truly opened, and his escape is imminent. His companion turns back, questioning his delay as a portal begins to form behind him. Without warning, he's violently yanked into a vortex of light, the world twisting around him. He endures the disorienting journey, his body pulled through the dimensional rift. Landing with a thud, he finds himself back in the familiar darkness of his own world, still dazed. He quickly focuses his mind, testing to see if the strange new abilities followed him home. To his immense relief, a system window materializes, confirming his powers are intact. He checks his status, noting he's still level 3 but questions an icon representing the divine hammer. A system prompt clarifies that while his stats are universal, his gear is world-locked unless stored in a special inventory. He realizes his level is universal, and the hammer returned with him because it was in his special inventory. Suddenly, his companion's voices echo from above, urging him to hurry as the cave entrance closes. Looking up, he's bewildered to find them still there, questioning how little time seems to have passed. He's stunned, realizing the hours he spent in the other world felt like mere moments in his own. His friend dismisses his confusion, telling him to climb out before they're all sealed inside. Gripping the rope, a mind-blowing theory about time itself begins to form in his mind. The incredible truth hits him as he scales the wall. Time in his world was completely frozen. He grasps the ring's true, godlike power. It stops time in one world while he's in the other. As he climbs, he wonders if time is now paused in the beast world, contemplating the ring's mysterious origin. Reaching the top, he gets a helping hand and immediately prepares to ask his companion a question. He asks his friend about the warrior assessment scheduled for the next day, a new plan already forming. The question triggers a painful flashback, plunging him back into a memory of pure desperation. He remembers carrying his injured sister on his back, struggling through the pouring rain. They were fleeing through a war-torn street as chaos erupted all around them. A colossal monster had appeared, its terrifying presence casting a shadow of doom over the city. His sister's faint voice had told him she couldn't feel her legs, filling him with cold dread. Her innocent question about their parents was a blow he couldn't answer, only grit his teeth against. The creature continued its rampage, smashing the very ground they were running on. He desperately tries to stop at the edge of a crumbling precipice, shielding his sister from the fall. Bracing for impact, he holds her tight as debris rains down, his face a mask of grim determination. His eyes burn with red-hot despair, the memory of his powerlessness flooding back. He recalls screaming for his parents as the colossal beast tore their world apart. Gritting his teeth through the pain, he focused only on protecting the precious life on his back. He waded through the ruins, his cries of anguish lost in the storm of destruction. In his darkest moment, a hand reached down, offering a sliver of hope. His friend grabbed him, desperately trying to pull him away from a suicidal path. The friend's harsh words cut through his grief, reminding him that charging back meant certain doom. Forced to confront his weakness, he could only scream in frustration, knowing he couldn't save his family. The memory culminates in the devastating moment his sister suffered her life-altering injury. Snapped back to the present, his sister's voice questions his sudden decision to retake the warrior assessment. Her eyes fill with worry, afraid he's overexerting himself on her account. Back in the hospital room, a nurse tends to his sister, remarking on their close bond. He casually brushes off her concerns, asking instead if her legs are still causing her pain. She winces through a painful injection, trying to downplay her suffering to keep him from worrying. He sees through her brave face, sensing the deep sadness she hides about her inability to walk. Using a new skill, a system window reveals the grim diagnosis: 98% paralysis with only a 1% chance to ever stand again. The crushing weight of that 1% hits him as he imagines the normal life she desperately misses. A memory of her carefree smile strengthens his resolve, reminding him she's the only family he has left. Walking through the city at night, he makes a silent, unbreakable promise to make her walk again. He latches onto that single percent, believing that if there's any chance at all, he will find a way. His eyes burn with resolve. Becoming a warrior is the only way to gain the resources he needs. He stops in his tracks, vowing not just to heal his sister, but to never live in weakness again. Raising his fist to the sky, he solidifies his goal, to become the strongest warrior of them all. The next day, he arrives at the Brave Test Group headquarters, the official site for the warrior assessment. Inside, he sees other candidates successfully passing their trials and becoming official warriors. An administrator smiles as he hands a newly certified warrior his official identification. He watches a cocky young man and his proud family celebrate their newfound status. The administrator calls his name, noting with disdain that this is his second attempt after failing the first. Annoyed, the man dismisses him, complaining that this retest is a waste of time keeping him from dinner. With a look of pure determination, the protagonist walks toward the testing room, ready to shatter all expectations. The administrator scoffs, convinced that the scientific test is absolute and that failures will always be failures. He turns away with a sneer, completely writing off the protagonist as he enters the testing chamber. Inside the futuristic testing room, a monitor displays the previous candidate's average score, Level 3, with a combat power of 5 from 40. Knowing he's already qualified at Level 3, he places his hand on the scanner to finally measure his new combat strength. With a steely gaze, he focuses his mind, preparing to treat this test with the seriousness it deserves. A system notification flashes announcing the activation of his strongest body. His eyes blaze with red light as his body surges with raw power, veins bulging across his arms. The testing chamber violently shakes as the machine struggles to calculate his immense power output. The administrator is thrown off balance by the violent tremors, mistaking the power surge for an earthquake. The display skyrockets past all normal limits, finally locking in his result, Level 3, with an unbelievable combat power of 5,400. He stares in disbelief as the system confirms he's shattered a 30-year-old record, his power level 10 times that of the previous candidate. A confident smirk spreads across his face, acknowledging his new body's incredible strength. Clenching his fists in triumph, he reaffirms his vow to become the absolute strongest warrior. His thoughts then shift, a new curiosity sparking about the full potential of the divine hammer he acquired. He summons the weapon, and it materializes in his palm with a brilliant flash of energy. A system warning pops up, alerting him that his level is too low to wield the God King's hammer without a massive drain on his stamina. He contemplates the risk, deciding that 1 second of activation is more than enough for the machine to measure its power. With the massive hammer in hand, he places his other hand back on the scanner, ready to push the limits even further. His eyes blaze with crimson light as he focuses all his will to activate the legendary weapon. The system confirms the God King's hammer has been activated, granting him its power for a fleeting second. He's instantly drained as the hammer absorbs every last drop of his energy and stamina. Gritting his teeth, he channels the overwhelming power surge into the testing machine. His eyes blaze with anticipation, eager to see the final staggering result. A cataclysmic blast of energy erupts from the testing chamber, far exceeding its limits. The power surge rips through the city's skyline, causing widespread panic and confusion. The machine's display flashes with errors, completely unable to process the immeasurable power level. The entire headquarters building is plunged into darkness as the power grid overloads. The blackout spreads across the district, a direct consequence of his incredible power display. The panicked administrator bangs on the door, trying to get him out amidst the chaos. The door slides open to reveal a completely drained protagonist, leaving the administrator speechless at his altered state. The building's exterior stands silent, hiding the chaos he unleashed within. He walks away, realizing the hammer's power is too immense to wield at his current level. Despite the drain, a sly grin spreads across his face, knowing the test was a success. Clutching his new warrior ID, he celebrates the first step of his grand plan. Later, he joins the other new recruits inside a massive training hall. Their instructor, a level 9 warrior named Kaya, introduces himself with a combat power of 1200. The other rookies greet the veteran warrior with a mixture of awe and respect. The protagonist, however, is unimpressed, already calculating how far his own power surpasses the instructor's. Meanwhile, Kaya complains to himself, annoyed at being stuck with a low-reward rookie training mission. To speed things up, he shocks the recruits by declaring they'll be thrown into a real dungeon tomorrow. The other recruits nervously question the sudden change, reminding him of the standard week-long training protocol. Kaya scoffs at their concerns, dismissing their training as a complete waste of his valuable time. He unleashes an intimidating aura, warning the rookies to either keep up or get out. The protagonist calmly observes, realizing the instructor isn't being tough, just petty and in a bad mood. Unfazed by the instructor's attitude, his mind drifts to more personal and ambitious plans. Later that night, he returns to his modest apartment, the day's events behind him. He watches a news report that comically downplays the citywide blackout he caused as a minor earthquake. With the ring's cooldown complete, he decides to return to the other world to level up and choose his class. He activates the golden ring, opening the infinite passage to another dimension. In an instant, he is transported to a desolate, moonlit landscape in the other world. He opens his eyes, finding himself back in the familiar, desolate landscape of the other world. He surveys his surroundings, noting that nothing has changed since he last left this dimension. He realizes that time in this world freezes when he's gone, preserving his state and equipment perfectly. His thoughts are interrupted by his cat-eared guide, who suddenly appears and asks for his next move. After a moment of flustered surprise, he regains his composure and eagerly declares it's time to start leveling up. His guide cheers with delight, thrilled by his newfound determination and energy. She reveals she's already scouted a nearby goblin cave, suggesting the weak monsters are perfect for his first training session. He processes her warning about the goblin's nature, showing a flicker of concern for his female companion. Brushing off his concern, he grins with excitement, eager to test his system on some classic low-level monsters. They stealthily approach the cave entrance, with his guide cautioning him to stay quiet as the goblin sentries are asleep. He questions why his high-level guide doesn't just charge in and obliterate the low-level monsters. She's stunned he knows her level, while he's secretly impressed by her staggering 630,000 combat power. He plays it cool, claiming he has his methods and simply wants to observe a master at work. She warns him that her involvement would prevent him from gaining any experience due to their level difference. Accepting his request to watch, she prepares to demonstrate, hoping her combat style will serve as a lesson. With her eyes glowing intensely, she draws her blade and leaps into action for her master. In a single, blindingly fast strike, she effortlessly dispatches the goblin sentry. He stands up, hands clasped in admiration, completely captivated by the level 72 warrior's flawless technique. She turns back with a modest smile, acting as if her incredible display was nothing special. As she explains her battle philosophy, he eagerly begs her to teach him her powerful fighting style. She apologetically informs him that her technique is a high-level skill, far beyond his current reach without a class. He confidently declares he'll become a warrior, secretly planning to use his copy ability to steal her skills. A system notification instantly confirms his choice, officially locking in his new warrior class. His status screen updates, displaying his new class and a combat power of 54. His guide is deeply moved that he chose his class just for her, blushing with a mix of surprise and gratitude. She grabs his hands, passionately vowing to help him level up and find a proper set of warrior gear. He blushes, enjoying the close contact and appreciating the gentle nature of this other world. Their tender moment is shattered by the arrival of the next shift of goblin guards. The new sentries spot the intruders and charge forward, alerting the rest of the cave. Lying on the ground, he realizes it's now his turn to handle the rest of the goblins himself. He confidently asks to borrow his guide's short sword, telling her he has an idea to handle the situation. She tries to warn him about the foolishness of fighting same-level monsters, but he calmly walks past her. Facing the charging goblins, he recalls the powerful warrior skill he copied earlier and decides it's time for a test run. Taking a deep breath, he focuses his power, preparing to unleash an overwhelming attack. He leaps into the air and unleashes the copied high-level skill World-Shaking Strike upon the unsuspecting goblins. The skill connects with the ground, erupting in a fiery blast that completely annihilates the charging monsters. His guide is completely stunned, unable to comprehend how a level 3 player just one-shotted monsters she once needed a full party to defeat. Bathing in the glow of EXP gains, he smirks, declaring the Goblin Cave an easy grind and setting his sights on reaching level 4 tonight. He casually picks up a crude club from a defeated goblin, deciding it'll have to suffice as his weapon for now. His hand hovers over a fallen goblin, ready to use his unique ability to copy a new skill. While his guide frets over his non-existent defense, he happily swings his new goblin club. A moment of reflection makes him realize the crude weapon won't protect him from a real hit. A system notification confirms his defense is a flat 0, making him completely vulnerable to any attack. As they venture deeper, he recalls a system feature he'd overlooked, the Divine Sense backpack. The system explains this backpack is a special inventory that exists outside of dimensional limits. He realizes this unique inventory allows him to transfer items between his world and this one, opening up incredible possibilities. Checking his status, he sees the backpack only has 2 slots, with one already occupied by the Divine Hammer. He learns that the only way to expand his inventory is to level up, making his grind even more critical. Pondering the 5-piece standard for a full armor set, he turns his gaze to his guide with a new idea. His guide becomes the perfect visual aid, as system indicators highlight the 5 essential armor slots on her body. He gets lost in a daydream, fantasizing about the various beautiful women this new world might have to offer. His guide's voice snaps him out of his reverie, and he awkwardly tries to act natural. She urgently screams for him to look out, sensing a sudden danger from behind. A pack of goblins lunges from the shadows, catching him completely by surprise. She warns him that these goblins are higher level, but he insists on handling them himself. He shoves her out of the way, reminding her of their deal so he can claim all the EXP. With a powerful roar, he swings his goblin club, smashing it into the ground with explosive force. His eyes glow with crimson energy as he channels his power into the crude weapon. The blow connects, sending the monster flying and shattering the cave floor under the sheer impact. As he collects his EXP, his guide marvels at his explosive strength, realizing it far surpasses what his level should allow. His guide looks on with pride, amazed that he single-handedly defeated higher-level monsters. He continues his rampage, effortlessly clearing out more goblins as his guide cheers enthusiastically from the side. As he crushes the final goblin, he realizes the experience gains in this world are far more generous than he imagined. He recalls the slow, tedious grind other heroes faced, where even stronger monsters gave pitiful rewards. He remembers how heroes in his world were forced into guilds and parties, splitting the already scarce experience points. A smirk crosses his face as he realizes that here, he reaps all the rewards, with each monster providing a massive EXP boost. His experience bar skyrockets, solidifying his plan to use this new world as his personal high-speed leveling ground. After clearing the area, he takes a brief rest, unaware of a much larger, more sinister presence lurking deeper in the cave. Sensing a shift in the atmosphere, he cautiously peers around a rock to investigate the new threat. His eyes widen as he spots a hulking figure, immediately recognizing the unmistakable aura of a dungeon boss. The boss is a grotesque, tentacled monstrosity, pulsing with a sinister, otherworldly energy. His guide gravely informs him that the boss has been possessed by a dark demon, a creature of immense evil. He realizes with dawning horror that these dark demons are the same monsters that invaded his world and took his parents. She warns that the possession has amplified the level 6 goblin's power to terrifying new heights. Believing the threat is too great, she insists on fighting the boss herself to protect him. He refuses, his body shaking with suppressed fury as he vows to personally eradicate every last dark demon. Ignoring his guide's pleas, he lunges forward, driven by the traumatic memory of his parents' fate. He confronts the level 6 dark demon goblin boss, his rage manifesting as a powerful, world-shaking aura. His fury reaches its peak as he remembers how these monsters also destroyed his sister's future. Channeling all his hatred into a single blow, he brings his weapon down on the beast with devastating force. The force of his strike shatters the ground, overwhelming the goblin boss as his crude weapon disintegrates. His attack leaves him drained and weaponless, collapsing to the floor from the exertion. Lying defeated, he curses his own powerlessness as the boss prepares to counterattack. The grotesque monster opens its maw, gathering a strange substance for a ranged assault. It launches a massive, fleshy appendage directly at the vulnerable hero. His guide leaps into action, attempting to intercept the deadly projectile with her sword to save him. Fueled by the memory of his family, he forces himself back onto his feet, refusing to be defeated. His eyes burn with golden light as he rejects the idea of falling to such a creature. A system notification suddenly appears, announcing the activation of his strongest body trait. Golden energy crackles around his clenched fist as he prepares to unleash his newfound power. His body bulks up to an impossible size, surging with the raw power of his activated trait. Realizing he's weaponless, he clenches his fist, deciding his own body will be his new weapon. A system notification warns him that concentrating all his strength into his right arm will cause immense strain. Undeterred by the warning, he roars with determination, ready to unleash his full power. He comes to a powerful realization: his own body is the ultimate weapon he needs. With a single earth-shattering punch, he meets the monster's incoming attack head-on. The force of his blow completely obliterates the fleshy projectile, stunning his guide with its sheer power. A massive explosion of golden energy erupts from the point of impact, engulfing the area. The shockwave from his punch tears through the cave, a testament to his newfound strength. As the light fades, he stands tall, the veins on his back showing the immense physical cost of his attack. The backlash leaves him panting and his arm severely damaged, but a level-up notification confirms his victory. His guide rushes to his side, her voice filled with alarm as she sees the terrible state of his arm. A system warning flashes, explaining the critical damage was caused by concentrating too much power into one limb. The immense strain and pain finally overwhelm him and he begins to collapse backward. His guide catches him just in time, cradling him as he complains about the excruciating pain. She gently lays him down and reassures him, quickly retrieving a healing potion from her pouch. An hour later, two small winged creatures, one light and one dark, appear to be tending to the fallen boss. He sits up, completely healed, amazed by the potent effects of the potion his guide administered. He examines his perfectly restored arm, realizing this world's ancient remedies are far superior to his own. Feeling more powerful than ever, he stands up and flexes, confirming he's not just healed but in even better condition. His guide eagerly points out that since he's recovered, it's time to claim his victory reward. He remembers with a jolt that clearing the dungeon boss comes with a prize. A system notification announces a reward bonus for setting a new speed record, upgrading his loot from a single piece to a full set. The system further specifies that because the boss was a dark demon, the reward is a rare dark demon goblin set. His guide excitedly discovers the physical treasure chest, confirming it's a special dark demon variant. He lovingly caresses the chest, marveling at how this world offers full sets instead of the broken gear he's used to. With great anticipation, he prepares to open the chest, which glows with a powerful, otherworldly light. The system confirms he has acquired the full Dark Demon Goblin set, and his guide urges him to equip it immediately. He abruptly slams the chest shut, much to his guide's bewilderment. A new system prompt reveals a critical problem. His inventory only has one slot left for an entire set of armor. He cleverly questions the system, wondering if the set can be considered a single item for storage. The system confirms his loophole, successfully storing the entire armor set in his last inventory slot. He celebrates his brilliant idea, realizing he can bring the powerful gear back to his world, leaving his guide baffled. He decides against equipping the armor, instead asking his guide if she can sew, which she confirms with a nod. Later that night, they sit together under the moonlight as she prepares to mend his tattered clothes. She proudly displays his shirt, now perfectly repaired and looking better than ever. He tries on the fixed shirt, thanking her for the excellent fit while she beams with happiness. Now leveled up and with new gear stored away, his gaze hardens as he resolves to return home. He suggests they find a place to rest before their next move, and she readily agrees. The scene dramatically shifts to a modern city at night, signaling his successful return to his own world. A golden portal tears open in his bedroom, marking his return from the other world. He collapses onto his bed, utterly spent, as the gateway to the fantasy realm seals shut behind him. He recalls leaving his guide sleeping peacefully, having slipped away while she rested. A wave of gratitude washes over him as he resolves to bring her a gift on his next visit. Deciding to rest, he acknowledges the need to advance in his own world as well. With newfound resolve, he sets his sights on conquering his first dungeon back home. The next morning arrives, signaling the start of his new chapter in the modern world. A system prompt appears asking if he wants to equip the powerful Dark Demon Goblin set. Without a moment's hesitation, he confirms his choice, ready to embrace his new power. The armor materializes, granting him a terrifying new skill that can paralyze foes and deliver a devastating blow. He's stunned to learn the full set comes with its own unique and powerful special skill. Clad in the intimidating armor, he smirks, eager to test its full potential. He hesitates, remembering tales of ruthless heroes who would attack others for such powerful gear. Realizing his flashy new armor would make him a prime target, he comically slides to the floor in dismay. Just then, a system prompt offers a perfect solution, an option to hide his equipment from view. He eagerly accepts, and the menacing armor dematerializes, revealing his normal clothes underneath. With his gear safely concealed, he gets dressed, planning to grab a bite before his next appointment. Suddenly, his old beat-up phone rings, a rare event that immediately catches his attention. On the line is his sister's nurse, panicking as she reports that dangerous men are trying to abduct his sister from the hospital. His expression turns to fury as the nurse screams that the men are attacking her, urging him to hurry before the line goes dead. In a blind rage, he shatters his phone in his fist as the call abruptly ends. His eyes burn a furious red, promising a terrible fate for those who threatened his family. He immediately heads for the door, his system stats displaying the deadly power he now commands. Back at the hospital, his sister begs the intruders to stop, telling them to wait for her brother. The men roughly grab her as she struggles, terrified and insisting she doesn't know them. A smirking thug explains they're taking her as collateral for her brother's unpaid debt. His inner monologue reveals their true plan. They targeted her from the start, intending to sell her after tricking her brother with a rigged contract. His sister tearfully refutes their claims, certain her brother was swindled. The man mockingly clarifies that her brother's payments barely cover the interest on the loan. He then seizes her by the chin, warning her to stop resisting. The thug tightens his grip, warning her that cooperation will spare her further pain. He leans in with a sinister grin, promising to be merciless if she continues to resist. Just as he finishes his threat, the hospital room door is violently kicked off its hinges. The protagonist stands there, his eyes glowing with pure fury as he orders them to crawl out. He stands defiantly at the entrance, his system stats floating beside him, a testament to his newfound power. His sister looks up from her wheelchair, a flicker of hope in her terrified eyes as she sees her brother. The lead thug turns around, a condescending smirk on his face as he mocks the protagonist for coming to him. He casually justifies his actions, stating that since the brother can't pay, it's only fair for the sister to take his place. Before the thug can finish his sentence, the protagonist moves in a blur, smashing a fist into his face. The force of the punch sends the thug flying backward as the protagonist stands ready to deal with the rest. A system prompt reveals he's channeling his power, boosting his speed to an inhuman level. The thug crashes violently to the ground, medical supplies scattering from the sheer force of the blow. His underlings watch in stunned disbelief as their leader is taken down in a single hit. Enraged, the second thug charges forward, foolishly attempting to avenge his boss. The protagonist effortlessly intercepts the punch, crushing the man's hand with a single powerful squeeze. The thug collapses to the floor, writhing in agony from his now useless hand. The last remaining goon seethes with rage, shocked that someone would dare to challenge them. He boasts about his gang's fearsome reputation before pulling out a handgun to settle the score. The thug immediately opens fire, aiming to end the fight with a single fatal shot. His sister watches in horror as the bullet flies directly toward her brother's head. But the bullet stops dead in its tracks, caught effortlessly in his bare hand. His sister's eyes widen in disbelief, unable to process the impossible feat she just witnessed. The thugs are frozen in terror, the shooter stammering as he realizes his gun is completely useless. A system window explains his strongest body skill, allowing him to harden his flesh to be impervious to weapons. Huddled in a corner, the goons finally understand they've provoked a superpowered hero. A nurse and a security guard finally arrive, rushing down the hall after hearing the commotion. They find the thugs thoroughly beaten, as the protagonist calmly assures them the situation is handled. The once arrogant goons bow deeply in apology, meekly accepting their defeat as they are escorted out. The lead thug seethes with resentment, vowing to report this new hero to his much stronger boss. The protagonist gently places a blanket on his sister, telling her he may not be able to visit as often anymore. He reassures his sister that he'll handle the debt now that he's a powerful hero. Stunned, she learns he's still a trainee but will become official after his next dungeon run. He realizes his massive debt requires a faster solution, selling gear from the other world. His plan is set. He'll use his portal ring to return that evening and complete his promotion. In the other world, a high-level warrior named Kale gathers the trainees for their final test. Kale immediately lays down a strict rule. All loot found in the dungeon must be handed over to him. Our hero recognizes this as common exploitation, but dismisses it, expecting little from a low-level dungeon. The warrior boasts about his high level, guaranteeing a smooth pass for everyone who follows his lead. He then reveals the true price of his help, demanding a hefty fee from each trainee. Cowed by his authority, the aspiring heroes reluctantly agree to his exploitative terms. The protagonist raises his hand, boldly refusing to pay the ridiculous extra fee. A nervous trainee warns him not to anger the instructor, revealing his connection to the powerful Mad Wolf Guild. Unimpressed, he stands his ground as the instructor seethes, declaring these are his rules. Kale sneers, giving him an ultimatum: pay up or face the dungeon alone in a solo assessment. The other trainees gasp, knowing a solo run is a suicide mission that even pro heroes avoid. To everyone's shock, the protagonist calmly accepts the challenge, agreeing to the solo test. His decision is so unusual that an official from the Hero Association appears to question his sanity. The official rushes to double-check, certain the protagonist must have made a mistake in his application. Despite the official's frantic warnings about the test's impossible nature, our hero simply asks him to proceed. The bewildered official confirms the solo test, watching as the protagonist confidently walks toward the dungeon entrance. He steps into the C-rank dungeon, a place recommended for a party of 5 with a combat power of 600. He marvels at the raw, untamed environment, a stark contrast to the cleared dungeons he's seen before. Before he can even react, a shadowy monster with glowing red eyes lunges at him from the side. The goblin-like creature swings a massive club, aiming to crush him with a single blow. Unfazed, a system window reveals his combat power is a staggering 6,400, making the monster's attack completely ineffective. He casually snatches the club from the stunned level 3 goblin, whose combat power is a paltry 640. He observes that even the minions here are enhanced dark demons, a step up from his world's monsters. Yet, he knows that with his 6,400 combat power, these creatures are utterly insignificant. As the monster dissolves, he notes the meager experience gain, finally understanding why heroes in his world level so sluggishly. Smirking, he decides to stop wasting time and taunts all the hidden monsters to face him together. Answering his challenge, a massive horde of monsters swarms him from all sides. But he remains completely unfazed, a confident smirk on his face as the monsters dissolve around him. A more powerful dark demon unleashes a furious, concentrated blast of energy. The protagonist effortlessly turns the attack back on them, obliterating the entire mob in a single, devastating move. He scoffs at the weaklings, demanding even more powerful foes to test his strength. Meanwhile, the association official is surprised the trainee has survived for nearly an hour. He dismisses it as arrogant luck, fully expecting the system to soon report the boy's death. Suddenly, a notification pops up on his tablet, confirming the impossible. The trainee has passed the solo assessment. Just then, the dungeon portal flares to life, signaling the end of the test. The protagonist walks out unscathed, asking where he can clean up as his status window confirms his new level and gear. Kyle berates the other trainees, boasting that his strength was the only reason they survived the dungeon. The trainees quietly complain about his poor instruction and how he prevented them from even participating. The instructor justifies his exorbitant fee, claiming he was actually giving them a discount for their pathetic performance. He impatiently answers a call from the Hero Assessment Center, annoyed by the interruption. Kale's arrogance shatters as he receives the unbelievable news that the protagonist passed the solo test. He immediately confronts the protagonist, who is calmly washing up, demanding an explanation for his impossible feat. The instructor reveals he knows the protagonist's file listed him as a low-level rookie with no recorded combat power. Convinced of foul play, Kale accuses him of cheating with a powerful item to clear the dungeon. The protagonist coolly dismisses the accusation, sarcastically suggesting the instructor's ridiculous fee was his true motivation. Furious at the disrespect, Kale grabs him, trying to intimidate him by mentioning his ties to the Mad Wolf Guild. The protagonist scoffs at Kale's grip, mocking his pathetic combat power and the low standards of his guild. Enraged by the disrespect, Kyle's fist glows with power as he prepares to strike the insolent rookie. He effortlessly catches the punch, questioning if the instructor's feeble attack was actually meant to be a threat. The instructor is sent flying, completely stunned by the trainee's impossible speed and overwhelming power. Stumbling backward, Kale can only point in disbelief, his mind failing to process the rookie's true strength. Done with games, the furious instructor unsheathes his sword, ready to end this confrontation with force. The protagonist watches with mild interest as the enraged warrior lunges forward, aiming to cut him down. With murderous intent, Kale swings his blade, demanding to know what power the trainee has been hiding. The sword shatters upon impact with his chest, a system window revealing his gear's impenetrable defense. Kale stares at his broken weapon in utter shock, realizing he just struck something far harder than mere flesh. Kale frantically accuses him of hiding powerful equipment to explain his own failure. Our hero internally panics, realizing he's revealed too much and drawn unwanted attention to his secrets. The instructor's shock twists into a greedy sneer, convinced the rookie is hiding a priceless treasure. His confident facade crumbles internally as he's genuinely creeped out by the instructor's intense greed. He comically rationalizes that the sword only broke because it was old, not because he's invincible. Just as the tension peaks, their confrontation is suddenly interrupted. The association official reappears, calling him over to officially register him as a new hero. Seeing a chance to escape, he walks toward the official, believing Kale won't act out in front of him, but Kale's face contorts into a terrifying grin, his obsession with the rookie's power growing stronger. The protagonist feels a chill as he walks away, sensing the instructor's dangerous gaze fixed on his back. He reflects on his weakness, knowing that despite his power, his low level leaves him vulnerable to stronger foes. Later that night, under a full moon, the city seems deceptively peaceful. Back in his room, he worries about the unwanted attention he's drawn, realizing he must be more cautious in this new world. Meanwhile, two cloaked figures stealthily approach his apartment down a darkened hallway. The mysterious assassins stop directly in front of his door, confirming they've found their target. A system window reveals one is a level 10 mage from the Mad Wolf Guild, preparing to immobilize their prey. His partner, a deranged-looking rogue, eagerly agrees to the plan, his greed for the supposed treasure showing. The mage warns his accomplice to be silent, preparing a spell to ensure a quiet entry. With the plan set, the mage tells the rogue to prepare for the ambush as he begins his spell. He aims his staff at the door, unleashing a blast of magic to melt the lock and breach the room. The protagonist was already waiting, crashing down on the assassins with a powerful skill revealed by his status window. He grits his teeth in frustration, shocked at how fast his enemies have tracked him down. With a powerful skill, he slams the rogue into the floor, determined to crush the intruder. He quickly analyzes the threat, realizing the mage's high level poses a serious problem despite his lower combat power. The mage drags his stunned partner away, while the protagonist reflects on how a large level gap can nullify his superior stats. He likens the situation to a low-level gamer attacking a high-level boss, an almost certainly fatal encounter. He steels himself, knowing that while victory is possible with his gear, one wrong move will mean his end. Confident in his own defenses, the mage unleashes a powerful fire spell to create an opening for his partner. The mage is suddenly consumed by a fiery inferno, screaming in agony as his own magic turns against him. Having narrowly dodged the blast, the protagonist realizes his powerful armor has a critical weakness to magic. Realizing a direct fight is suicide, he decides to flee, with the two assassins in hot pursuit. He makes a desperate leap across the rooftops, silhouetted against the full moon in a daring escape. Bracing for a long fall, he plans to focus his armor's power into his legs to survive the impact. A system window confirms his risky maneuver, leaving his upper body vulnerable as a third figure waits in ambush below. Just before landing, he's struck from behind by a level 12 warrior from the Mad Wolf Guild. The third assassin smirks, revealing the true scope of their plan to overwhelm the rookie. The warrior's blow sends him crashing into the street, barely managing to redistribute his armor's defense at the last second. Lying in a crater, he reflects that without his gear's passive defense, the unprotected hit would have been fatal. He staggers to his feet, much to the surprise of the warrior who expected him to be finished. Now cornered by all three assassins, the warrior demands to know how a mere rookie possesses such impossible skills. Pushed to the edge, he unleashes his fury, a system window revealing the full power of his demonic armor. He activates his armor's special skill, erupting in a terrifying display of dark, shadowy power. His immobilization attack is instantly parried, a system window revealing it's useless against higher-level foes. He grits his teeth in frustration as he realizes his ultimate skill has been completely nullified. The assassins close in, their greed intensifying as they confirm the low-level rookie has multiple rare skills. Just as all hope seems lost, a system notification announces his escape ability is finally ready. Seizing the opportunity, he activates his limitless passage and lands a solid punch on the mage to create an opening. As a portal whisks him away, he promises the stunned assassins that he will return to settle the score. He stumbles out of the portal, shaken but alive after his narrow escape from certain death. With renewed determination, he vows to get stronger, realizing he must seize control of his own fate to survive. He realizes his first priority is to find the cat girl and learn new skills from her. The mere thought of her triggers an intense and embarrassing physical reaction. He vividly remembers leaving her while she was sleeping soundly in her bed. His imagination runs wild as he recalls her sweet, alluring scent. He comically fights his own distracting thoughts, trying to regain his focus. A system window explains his body is reacting with a massive, uncontrolled power-up due to an adrenaline surge. The chilling memory of the assassin's murderous intent abruptly snaps him back to reality. His powered-up state instantly deflates as he's overcome with embarrassment. He kneels in defeat, forcing himself to calm down and focus on the real-world dangers he faces. Looking up at the moon with renewed purpose, he begins plotting how to level up for the battles to come. The next morning, he arrives at a rustic beastkin settlement, ready to find the cat girl. Inside one of the huts, the cat girl awakens, stretching blissfully after a long and peaceful sleep. He, however, lies about sleeping well, having spent the entire night tormented by his recent battle. She leads him to their destination, the Beast Tribe's Combat Academy, carved directly into a mountain. Their path is blocked by an imposing guard who denies him entry, stating he must be level 6 to even be considered. Annoyed by the unexpected requirement, he notices a small, heartfelt detail on the new vest she made for him. She apologizes for not knowing the rules, but he simply decides he'll grind to level 6 and return. Eager to help, the cat girl offers to guide him to nearby nests perfect for leveling up. As they turn to leave, the guard scoffs, hurling insults at both the filthy human and his lowly companion. The guard's cruel words crush her spirit, making her believe she is nothing but a burden to her master. Enraged by the insult, the protagonist grabs the guard by the collar, his patience completely gone. His eyes burn with cold fury as he demands the guard apologize to his companion immediately. The guard sneers, explaining that half-beasts are nameless outcasts, a system window confirming their tragic status in this world. He finally understands why the cat girl never revealed her name. She never had one to begin with. Unfazed, the guard gestures to archers on the cliffs, warning that even a human can be punished for disrespect. He scoffs at the idea of a human passing their tests, doubling down on his refusal to apologize. The cat girl gently intervenes, trying to stop the protagonist from escalating the conflict further. She begs him to let it go, believing she isn't worth getting into trouble for. At her plea, he slowly loosens his grip, releasing the stunned guard. He then declares her name is Ying, commanding the guard to remember it with a look of pure defiance. The cat girl blushes, deeply moved that her master has given her a name. He reminds the guard of their deal. An apology to Ying is owed once he passes the test. With the confrontation over, he leads a beaming Ying away, ready to start grinding levels. She guides him to a steep canyon, pointing out a potential nest of monsters below. Spotting a rare breed of foxmen, he unsheathes his dagger, declaring them perfect for leveling up. As they prepare, Ying shyly asks him why he chose that specific name for her. He glances back, momentarily worried that she might not like the name he picked. She frantically clarifies, assuring him with a bright blush that she absolutely loves it. With that settled, she bashfully admits she was just curious about his reason for choosing it. He awkwardly explains that her name, Ying, comes from the faint cherry blossom scent he always notices around her. He awkwardly finishes his explanation, admitting he chose the name because her scent reminded him of cherry blossoms. Overcome with emotion, she hugs him tightly, thanking him for giving her a name she truly loves. In her mind, she joyfully repeats her new name, Ying, finally feeling a sense of identity. Flustered but pleased, he accepts her heartfelt gratitude as she clings to him. With the emotional moment past, he turns his attention to the ominous cave ahead, ready to begin their grind. As they venture deeper into the icy cavern, Ying asks if the temporary sword she bought him is suitable. He examines the blade, noting that while basic, it's a significant upgrade from his previous weapon. Feeling confident, he remarks on how light the sword feels as a system window displays his current stats. Suddenly, a menacing silhouette with glowing red eyes emerges from the shadows, interrupting their conversation. A pack of level 5 foxmen reveals themselves, and a system window confirms they are far more cunning than typical monsters. He tells Ying to stay back and guide him, as her help would prevent him from gaining any experience. A system window confirms that if party members have a level gap of 5 or more, no one receives EXP. He charges into battle, eager to test his new sword, while Ying advises him on the foxmen's agility. He deflects a swift attack, realizing the monsters are even faster than he anticipated. A ferocious foxman lunges forward, aiming a powerful claw strike directly at him. He effortlessly blocks the blow with his arm, a system window revealing his skill that massively boosts physical resistance. Ying watches in awe, realizing his incredible defense makes him immune to low-level threats, ensuring a quick grind. He quickly adapts his strategy, learning that swift counters are more effective than brute force against agile foes. After dispatching the monster, he levels up to 4, his status window showing a significant boost in combat power. He recalls the high-level assassins, understanding he must close the level gap and choose his skills wisely to stand a chance. As he prepares for the next wave of monsters, Ying watches him with a mix of admiration and worry. Their grind is suddenly halted by the appearance of a ferocious level 7 foxman boss. The beast patrols its cavern carrying a massive, glowing greatsword on its back. His eyes lock onto the boss's impressive weapon, wondering if it can be obtained as loot. He immediately covets the sword, seeing it as the perfect upgrade for his own arsenal. He's shocked when Ying confirms that it's indeed possible for bosses to drop their equipment. She further explains the concept of drop rates and how dungeons can be farmed for specific items. He realizes this world is fundamentally built on game-like logic, which explains his own system's existence. A quick scan with his system reveals the boss's intimidating stats, level 7 with 1500 combat power. He then checks the weapon's details, his hopes sinking when he sees its abysmal 6% drop rate. Just as he despairs over the low drop rate, a new system window suddenly appears before him. The system announces the activation of an exchange system, allowing him to obtain items by meeting specific conditions. He realizes his system holds more secrets than he thought as he examines the first available item for exchange. The system offers a high drop rate scroll for killing 30 monsters, and he's stunned to see he's already killed 114. A smirk crosses his face as he deduces the kill count must be a combined total from both his worlds. He formulates a new plan, realizing he can stack 3 scrolls to boost the drop rate to a near-guaranteed 96%. Filled with renewed hope, he excitedly decides to exchange for all 3 scrolls at once. The system confirms the exchange, and 3 glowing scrolls materialize in his hands. He secures the scrolls in his pouch while Ying cheers him on, fully determined to claim the boss's sword. With his eyes glowing with resolve, he draws his blade and asks Ying to guide him into battle. The Foxman boss's eye glows with fury as it spots the intruders in its domain. It lets out a deafening roar, signaling the start of their high-stakes battle. The beast swings its greatsword, unleashing a massive wave of icy energy that he narrowly dodges. He's stunned to realize the boss's weapon is imbued with a powerful ice attribute. Ying warns him that the boss is both strong and agile, and its ice attacks will slow him down. She reveals the creature's critical weakness is fire, advising him to coat his weapon accordingly. He applies flame grease to his sword, which erupts in fire, ready to counter the boss's ice. With his blade ablaze, he charges forward, leaping into the air for a decisive strike. He skillfully evades a snapping bite, using the monster's head as a springboard to gain the upper hand. Ying shouts out the boss's weak points, directing him to strike the vulnerable areas under its neck and chin. He seizes the opportunity, bringing his flaming sword down perfectly onto the boss's exposed neck. The fiery blade slices deep, creating a shower of sparks as it connects with the weak point. The Foxman boss howls in agony, reeling back from the devastating and unexpected blow. A system window confirms a perfect weak point hit, inflicting a weakened status that cripples the boss for 15 seconds. He smirks, intrigued by the new debuff mechanic and how it will turn the tide of battle. With the boss vulnerable, he prepares to press his advantage and end the fight quickly. Ying calmly advises him that the weakened boss's attacks will be erratic and easy to predict. He gratefully acknowledges her timely guidance, his focus sharpening for the final assault. Suddenly, the boss lunges forward in a desperate frenzy, its minions swarming in to support it. He looks back in shock, realizing Ying's advice just saved him from being overwhelmed by the chaotic counterattack. The weakened boss pants heavily, its icy power flickering as it struggles to recover from the fiery assault. Seizing the moment, he vaults over the beast as Ying directs him to strike the exposed neck once more. A system window reveals his skill is concentrating immense power into his arms, doubling his attack strength for the next blow. He lands another perfect strike on the monster's weak point, inflicting triple damage and reapplying the crippling weakened status. Ying cheers enthusiastically, reminding him to stay focused and secure his victory without any mistakes. He leaps high into the air, channeling energy for a powerful finishing skill aimed directly at the incapacitated boss. Unleashing his ultimate move, he crashes down with immense force, engulfing the boss in a storm of raw power. Ying celebrates with unrestrained joy, completely captivated by his overwhelming display of strength. Catching his breath, a satisfied smirk crosses his face as he reflects on the exhilarating and hard-won battle. His victory celebration is cut short as he frantically pulls out a drop rate scroll, remembering he must use it before the loot is finalized. The system confirms all 3 scrolls have been used, boosting his item drop rate to a staggering 96% for 1 minute. He breathes a sigh of relief, having activated the scrolls just in the nick of time. System notifications flood his vision, confirming the boss kill, a massive EXP gain, and the successful drop of the coveted Dark Frost Cold Blade. He grips the new weapon, recognizing that its power is the perfect complement to his own physical skills. With the icy blade in hand, he feels a surge of confidence, already plotting his revenge against his enemies back home. Fueled by his victory, he immediately asks Ying for the next grinding spot, determined to reach level 6 tonight. Ying reveals a simple solution, a challenge cooldown scroll that can instantly reset the entire dungeon for another run. She pulls out several scrolls from her seemingly bottomless pouch, assuring him they have enough to hit his goal. Without hesitation, Ying uses a scroll, and a system window announces the cavern has been completely refreshed. With his new sword slung over his shoulder, he strides forward with Ying, ready to conquer the dungeon all over again. He tests his new blade, its icy aura slowing the boss while Ying explains the potential of special weapons. The new weapon reminds him of a divine hammer in his inventory, a weapon he's currently too weak to wield. The dungeon resets, and he finds himself facing the fearsome Foxman boss once more. After another swift victory, he levels up to 5, his confidence soaring as he challenges the boss again. He relentlessly grinds, using more cooldown scrolls to fight the boss a 3rd and 4th time, rapidly gaining experience. By the 6th run, even the dungeon boss looks exhausted from the repeated beatdowns. Despite his own fatigue, a determined grin spreads across his face, ready to push through for his goal. With one final, powerful strike, a system notification announces he has finally reached his target. Standing victoriously over a pile of defeated monsters, he finally reaches level 6 after a long night of grinding. His thoughts immediately turn back to the real world and the upcoming test at the Battle Academy. Back at the Battle Academy entrance, 2 orc guards mock his vow to return at level 6. They laugh by their campfire, convinced the weak human will take days to level up if he even can. The guard continues his taunt, completely unaware of the presence looming behind him. A shadow falls over them as he announces his return, having already reached level 6. The orcs spin around in utter shock, unable to comprehend his impossible leveling speed. He stands revealed in his new gear, his status window confirming his level 6 power as he demands an apology. The Academy's head, a level 20 beastman warrior, appears and scoffs at the late-night disturbance. He coolly states he's here for the test, eager to access the skill library and get stronger. The orc leader smirks, warning him that simply reaching the required level won't be enough to pass their tribe's trial. The leader's condescending expression shatters into disbelief as he finally processes the news of the protagonist's insane growth. He demands the orcs prepare to apologize to Ying, questioning if their tribe keeps its word. The flustered guard stammers that they'll keep their promise, but can't fathom how a human could pass. The leader smirks, finding it amusing that a human would challenge a tribe renowned for its strength. The Academy's chief officer appears, announcing the trial of strength to gain access to the skill library. The test is revealed. He must punch a large stone monolith and leave a crack to pass. He and Ying exchange a look, both finding the test's conditions surprisingly straightforward. The guard laughs, revealing the monolith is an outer stone that even level 10 warriors can't scratch. The leader feigns fairness, insisting the rules are simple and even offers a demonstration. Inwardly, the leader scoffs, knowing he deliberately chose the impossible stone to humiliate the human. The level 20 leader powers up, preparing to strike the stone to demonstrate the immense strength required. The level 20 leader strikes the monolith, his full power barely leaving a scratch on its surface. Wiping away a bead of sweat, he pretends the feat was effortless, challenging the human to simply leave a mark. Unfazed, he steps up to the stone while Ying offers her full support from the sidelines. He decides not to take any chances, preparing to focus his strongest physique for an overwhelming display. A brilliant blue aura erupts around his gauntlet, as he begins to channel his innate power. The system confirms his skill is active, concentrating 50% of his total physical strength into his right arm. The orc leader scoffs, reminding everyone of the inherent weakness of the human physique compared to his tribe. Ignoring the taunts, he enters his stance, his eyes glowing with focused energy as he prepares to strike. The leader turns his back with a dismissive smirk, completely certain of the human's impending failure. He unleashes a devastating punch, engulfing the monolith in a cataclysmic explosion of raw power. The orc leader and his subordinates stare in utter disbelief, their minds unable to process the blast. As the dust settles, their arrogant smirks are replaced by pure, unadulterated shock. He casually scratches his head, apologizing for accidentally using too much force and completely obliterating the monolith. Ying beams with pride, her eyes sparkling as she celebrates her master's overwhelming victory. The guards whisper to each other, questioning if they just hallucinated a human shattering the indestructible stone. Dusting off his hands, he turns to the stunned leader and calmly asks if he has officially passed. The flustered leader refuses to accept the outcome, accusing him of cheating by exploiting the damage from his own pathetic punch. The protagonist looks on in disbelief as the leader tries to nullify the test simply because the stone is gone. Desperate to save face, the sweating leader frantically announces a new, impromptu trial. He declares the next test is to bend a solid steel bar, a feat that requires every ounce of a beastman warrior's strength. He casually presents the steel bar, now twisted into a pretzel, while the leader frantically claims he grabbed the wrong item. Out of options, the leader declares a final test of arm wrestling against their strongest warrior. Tired of the nonsense, he grabs the champion and slams him into the ground before the match even begins. With an icy glare, he asks the stunned orcs if he has finally passed their third impromptu test. Terrified and sweating, the leader and his guards stammer that he has passed, completely intimidated by the human's power. With the trials concluded, he takes Ying's hand and demands the orcs fulfill their promise and apologize. The guard grits his teeth, reluctantly agreeing to uphold his word as a beastman warrior. He then bows deeply, shouting a formal apology to a startled Ying for his earlier insults. Overwhelmed and flustered, Ying murmurs that it's all right, as she's grown accustomed to such treatment. He gently corrects her, insisting she deserves the apology and should accept it with her head held high. Taking his words to heart, Ying looks down with a newfound understanding and a blush on her cheeks. She then raises her head with confidence, formally accepting the guard's apology. With the apology settled, the orc leader guides them to the imposing entrance of the skill library. The leader explains that he can only take one skill scroll, a rule that clearly annoys the protagonist. He adds another condition, a 3-minute time limit to find a scroll and break its magical seal. The leader elaborates on the library's security, which includes sealed scrolls and a magical barrier to prevent theft. He realizes the task is more complex than he anticipated, a fact Ying confirms from her past experiences. With the rules explained, the massive doors to the library swing open, and the leader warns him not to break any more rules. Undeterred, he steps across the threshold, beginning his 3-minute race against the clock. Inside, he's greeted by a dizzying array of floating skill scrolls, realizing the choice will be a challenge in itself. Ying confirms that each scroll is magically sealed, its contents a mystery until broken by force. He reflects on his need to find the perfect skill to copy with his absolute replication ability. He recalls the awkward activation method for his replication skill, which requires physical contact. Determined to escape his enemies, he decides to just start breaking seals and hope for the best. He channels his power into the first scroll, causing its magical defenses to crack and shatter. The scroll reveals Shield Bash, a defensive skill for warriors that can stun opponents. He immediately discards the skill as useless for his style, but Ying offers to help identify the scrolls. The next skill is Swift Step, an agility-based ability for archers, which he also finds unsuitable. Ying excitedly presents Battle Cry, a support skill, but he remains unimpressed and tells her to keep searching. With only 2 minutes left, he grows frantic, rejecting more skills as Ying eagerly presents another option. He considers Counterattack, a reactive skill, and agrees with Ying to keep it as a potential backup. Ying worries as they sift through more useless skills, none of which fit his aggressive combat style. With only 1 minute left, he realizes breaking seals individually is too slow and formulates a radical new plan. He warns Ying to find cover and prepare recovery potions, hinting that he's about to unleash his full power. A concerned Ying quickly retreats, understanding the gravity of her master's ominous warning. He kneels and concentrates his energy, his arm glowing with an unstable, crackling blue aura. Outside, the orc leader feels the sudden surge of power from the library and grows suspicious. A massive pillar of blue energy erupts from the building, stunning the guards who witness the strange phenomenon. Deciding to brute force the problem, he unleashes an explosive wave of energy to shatter every seal at once. Ying watches in stunned silence, overwhelmed by the sheer force her master is now radiating. A system warns him that forcibly activating God King's hammer will drain his resources, but he decides 1 second is enough. He unleashes the forbidden power, sending a colossal beam of energy tearing through the library's roof. Outside, the orc leader stares in horror, realizing the terrifying power surge is coming from the human. He channels the immense power of the God King's hammer into a single devastating strike. With the skill active for a fleeting second, he smashes his fist into the floor to shatter every seal in the library. The orc leader can only watch as the light intensifies, a testament to the catastrophic power being unleashed. A powerful shockwave erupts from the building, knocking the stunned orc leader off his feet. At the epicenter of the blast, a massive shockwave of pure energy radiates outwards, cracking the foundation. The wave of force slams into the floating scrolls, instantly cracking their protective magical seals. In a spectacular chain reaction, every single scroll in the library shatters its seal simultaneously. Ying stares in disbelief, realizing every single seal in the library was broken in an instant. As the system confirms the end of God King's hammer, he collapses, exhausted but successful with 50 seconds remaining. His eyes glow as the information from every unsealed scroll floods his mind simultaneously. Ying watches in awe, noticing the sheer density of the data is powerful enough to visibly warp the space around him. She rushes towards him, terrified the overwhelming mental strain will prove too much for him to handle. He clutches his head in agony, enduring the pain to sift through every skill and find the absolute best one. With only 40 seconds left, he furiously discards skill after skill, demanding something far more powerful. Amidst the torrent of information, his focus locks onto a single scroll that pulses with raw, crackling lightning. This unique scroll stands out from all the others, radiating an immense and untamed electrical power. As the clock hits 30 seconds, Ying grows frantic, urging him to hurry before their time runs out completely. Ignoring the agony, he locks onto his prize and shouts its exact location to Ying. Snapping out of her panic, Ying immediately dashes to retrieve the scroll he designated. With only 20 seconds left, she expertly navigates the chaotic library and locates the specific scroll. She grabs the lightning-infused scroll but is shocked to realize it's a fragmented, incomplete skill. A system description confirms her fears, explaining that fragmented scrolls contain incomplete skills with heavily reduced power. She rushes back to her master, questioning his choice of a broken and seemingly useless skill. With only 10 seconds remaining, Ying decides they're out of time and prepares to carry him out. He refuses her help, mustering his last bit of strength to stand and pushing his battered body to its absolute limit. Outside, the orc leader notes the silence, aware that the human only has 5 seconds to exit or be forcibly ejected. The leader begins the final countdown, his eyes fixed on the entrance, waiting to see the outcome. As the countdown hits 2, a brilliant crack of light splits the library's entrance. At the final second, an explosive wave of energy erupts from the doorway, blasting the orc leader backward. He emerges from the blinding light, carrying Ying in his arms, having escaped at the very last moment. After setting her down, Ying gazes at him with deep concern, her hand resting on his injured arm. The orc leader is stunned, realizing the human deliberately chose a fragmented, incomplete skill scroll. The scroll is revealed to be Lightning Chain, a forbidden skill that can be upgraded by collecting other fragments. The leader reveals that in the last millennium, no one has ever managed to master this dangerous, fragmented ability. He explains the first reason for failure. The skill is split into 6 parts and only 3 have ever been found. The second, more terrifying reason is that all who tried to master it were destroyed by its uncontrollable power. However, the orc leader reveals a shocking truth. In all of history, one person did succeed. The leader reveals the one who succeeded was a legendary beast king from a millennium ago, the original master of the God King's hammer. He scoffs at the revelation, wondering why such a powerful skill was just lying around in a basic library. The leader explains that over the centuries, the impossible skill faded into myth, its power forgotten by all. Unfazed by the warnings, he confidently accepts the fragmented scroll, ready to prove everyone wrong. The orc leader warns that finding the remaining fragments will test the limits of his strength and luck. His focus then shifts from the human, turning his intimidating gaze directly toward Ying. He recognizes her as the half-beast who was previously marked for death by their tribe. He sneers, questioning her right to live and hinting at a dark secret she's hiding from her master. Ying's eyes glow with defiance as she icily rebuffs his accusations, refusing to engage with his taunts. She turns her back on the past, walking away with her master and leaving the orc's threats behind them. The orc leader watches them depart, curious to see how far their strange partnership will take them. Later, the protagonist flexes his fully healed arm, complaining about the foul taste of the recovery potion. He stares at the empty bottle in disgust, wondering how something so effective could be so vile. Noticing Ying's quiet demeanor, he asks if she's all right, sensing something is off since their return. She dismisses his concern with a forced smile, claiming she's merely tired from their ordeal. He remains unconvinced, his gaze fixed on her as he decides to press for the truth. He directly asks why she was on the execution platform, a question that makes her expression turn grim. He recalls their first meeting on that very platform, remembering she was the prisoner scheduled right after him. She quickly changes the subject with a cheerful stretch, asking if he's learned his new fragmented skill yet. He confirms he has, explaining the lightning skill is a perfect match for his powerful body, and he's eager to find the rest. With a nervous smile, Ying eagerly suggests they continue their journey, trying to move past the awkward topic. She stretches dramatically, commenting on the beautiful day, while he watches her with an unconvinced expression. He agrees but states they have one matter to settle first, as a system notification confirms his ring's portal is ready. A confident smirk spreads across his face, revealing he's already devised a plan to deal with his old enemies. He declares his return means their time is up, his status window displaying his new lightning chain skill. A swirling vortex of pure lightning energy erupts, signaling the activation of his teleportation ability. Emerging from the portal with his hand outstretched, he announces his dramatic and unexpected return. He looks up with intense focus, determined to strike before his old captors have a chance to react. He unleashes his power, aiming to shatter the formation of the three enemies who once tormented him. A system notification confirms he's accessing his inventory through his ring to retrieve a weapon for his new skill. He materializes the dark magic cold light blade, declaring it the perfect conduit for his new skill. His enemies are shocked by his return, immediately plotting to kill him and claim his powerful ring. With a look of pure vengeance, he blames them for forcing him to unleash his full power. He channels raw lightning into the blade, the sheer force of the energy cracking the ground beneath him. One of his captors stares in disbelief, unable to comprehend how a warrior possesses such immense elemental power. He swings the enchanted blade, unleashing a devastating arc of pure lightning energy. The attack morphs into a chain of crackling electricity, locking onto its targets with deadly precision. His former captors are paralyzed with fear, watching helplessly as the lightning closes in. The lightning chain connects all three targets, engulfing them in a violent electrical surge as a system window details its effect. The paralyzing effect takes hold, leaving his enemies completely immobilized and questioning the source of his impossible power. He stands enveloped in raw power, the lightning coursing through him as a system window confirms his enemy's paralysis. His captor is stunned, realizing with dread that the man he once tormented has returned impossibly stronger. With his body locked by electricity, the enemy desperately tries to surrender, reaching out a trembling hand. The protagonist offers no mercy, cutting through the pleas with a swift and decisive lightning-charged strike. He scoffs at the very idea of sparing them, finding their sudden desire for life utterly pathetic. The second captor plays his last card, desperately invoking the name of his powerful guild to intimidate him. Unfazed by the threat, he prepares to deliver the final blow, telling the man to accept his fate. The last enemy watches in abject terror, realizing his opponent is completely merciless. The protagonist's dark silhouette looms over the final survivor, coldly informing him that he is next. With no escape left, the man can only scream in a final futile act of defiance. The last captor hurls a costly explosive fruit, a desperate final gambit. The volatile device sticks directly to the protagonist's lightning-charged blade, startling him. With a furious roar, the enemy remotely detonates the explosive, intending to obliterate his opponent. A massive fiery blast engulfs the protagonist, tearing through the immediate area. The captor laughs triumphantly, confident his powerful, expensive item has secured his victory. He scoffs at the protagonist's audacity, believing no one could survive such a direct hit. But as the smoke settles, a figure stands within the blast, remarking on the sheer annoyance of the attack. The enemy's triumphant expression shatters into disbelief, demanding to know what kind of monster he's facing. A system notification reveals his strongest physique and armor set activated, barely saving him from certain doom. Emerging from the smoke, a dark symbiotic armor covers his body, his glowing red eyes promising a world of pain. The very ground cracks and explodes under the sheer pressure of his unleashed power. With glowing red eyes, he vows that not a single one of his former captors will survive his wrath. He ends the final survivor with a devastating blow, shattering the earth beneath him. As the smoke clears and his armor dissipates, he reflects that their end was necessary for his own peace. He recalls they were members of the Mad Wolf Guild, who targeted him simply because they perceived him as weak. Standing over the aftermath, he curses the brutal reality of a world where the strong prey on the weak. Amidst the rubble, he spots a small, forgotten pouch on one of the defeated foes. Curious, he kneels down to inspect the unexpected loot left behind. Inside, he discovers a spatial ring, a system notification confirming it's an incredibly rare and valuable item. He claims his unexpected prize, a system window detailing how to bind the powerful new ring to himself. He admires the priceless spatial ring, eager to test out his new, high-value prize. A system notification confirms the brand new ring has been activated and bound to his mana. With a greedy grin, he decides to take every last valuable from his defeated enemies. The hero public security team arrives to investigate the scene, but they are far too late. He slips away unseen, confident that he has erased all traces of his involvement. Casually walking away with a new phone, he celebrates his newfound wealth and a clean escape. His victory dance is abruptly interrupted by an unexpected call on his newly acquired device. Confused by the sudden contact, he cautiously answers the unknown caller. He's surprised to learn the caller is his old teacher, wondering why she's reaching out now. His former high school teacher urges him to reconsider dropping out and not give up on his studies. He thanks his teacher for her concern, but explains his problems run deeper than just finances. He reveals the real reason he left. He was relentlessly tormented at school, a place he now despises. Unwavering, his teacher insists that returning to his studies is the key to turning his life around. She reminds him of his grim alternative, a dead-end job, and offers to cover his fees to secure a better future. He's touched by her kindness, realizing she's the only one who ever showed him genuine care, unaware of his new life as a hero. With tearful passion, she begs him to confront his past, not just for his sister, but for himself. Her heartfelt plea resonates with him, shaking his resolve to abandon his education despite his painful memories. Now a powerful hero, he decides to return to school, not as a victim, but as a force to be reckoned with. Meanwhile, a powerful figure learns that his men were eliminated and stripped of their possessions by an unknown assailant. The shadowy figure taps his ring-covered fingers, realizing with cold fury that his precious spatial ring is now gone. He smirks, knowing the fool has no idea the ring is enchanted with a powerful tracking spell. A magical projection of the ring appears before him, revealing the thief's general location. The guildmaster of the Mad Wolf Guild, a powerful level 21 warrior, vows to make the thief pay with his life. Slamming his fist on the table, he orders his men to find the culprit and bring him back immediately.